Kia ora, and welcome to the second video in our series designed to guide you through the newly produced Catchment Science Summaries. In this video, we'll explore key concepts from the 12 Catchment Summaries. We'll explain what state means in freshwater planning, the difference between concentrations and loads, and the difference between modelling and measured data. This will help you understand the science behind the information and interpret the key findings. The first key concept is state. We use the term state in different ways in the catchment summaries, whether that's the overall state of the environment or the target and current state of specific attributes. Generally, state refers to the condition of something we measure. When we talk about the state of the environment, we mean how aspects of Southland's environment are doing at a specific time, how ecosystems respond to pressures, and if they are suitable for various uses. Under the Resource Management Act, councils must monitor and report on the state of the environment. National policy statements for freshwater management have provided guidance to councils to achieve nationally consistent goals for managing freshwater resources. Understanding the state of attributes and how they change over time helps identify where interventions can improve or protect certain environments. In the catchment summaries, we assess various attributes for their target and current state. These are shown in tables, highlighting the gap between the current state and the target state, which has been pulled from our proposed freshwater targets. This helps to compare different attributes easily. Target states are part of the freshwater planning process. The National Objectives Framework supports councils to set objectives, targets, and limits for freshwater. Decades of monitoring data has supported setting these targets and will help in assessing progress over time. Current state represents recent measurements of attributes. To assess it, data must be collected frequently enough to be reliable and robust. Sampling requirements can differ for each attribute we measure, and calculations to assess each attribute's current state can also vary. These differences can include sampling frequencies, time periods, and statistical methods such as averages and medians. In the catchment summaries, we assessed most river attributes with monthly data over 5 years from 2018 to 2022. A reliable number of samples provides confidence in the accuracy of the state assessment. Data mainly comes from the Environment Southland State of the Environment Network. Some attributes are measured annually, such as fish and macroinvertebrates. Where high-frequency monitoring is used, for example for water temperature and dissolved oxygen, a minimum of 1 complete week's worth of data from each year is required to assess state. We aim to meet these criteria to ensure robust data collection and confident state assessments. However, issues like site access, equipment breakdowns, funding, and environmental conditions such as flooding can impact data quality. New sites will also not have the required 5 years of data collection to assess state. For details on assessing current and target states, refer to the supporting science literature. Now that we've covered the concept of state, let's talk about two key terms: concentration and load. These terms help us understand contaminants in our environment and how we calculate and discuss contaminant reductions in freshwater planning. Concentration refers to the amount of a contaminant in a specific volume of water at a certain time, measured in units like milligrams per litre. High concentrations of heavy metals and nutrients can be toxic to aquatic life, and high concentrations of nitrate, nitrogen, and E. coli can impact our drinking water quality and our ability to swim in certain water bodies, posing a risk to human health. Understanding concentration helps us assess immediate impacts and act accordingly. In freshwater planning, attribute criteria are set based on concentrations. Load represents the total amount of a contaminant moving through an area over time, like the amount of nitrogen a river carries to the sea in a year. Loads help us understand the broader impacts of contaminants lost and provide a story of a whole catchment, rather than a snapshot in time at a specific location. Losses from farms, for example, are best understood through loads, as that gives the best sense of the issue over time. This is used in key tools like Overseer for assessing contaminant loss and mitigation effectiveness. In this context, you will commonly see contaminant loads expressed in units of kilograms per hectare per year. We can then combine loads to understand the longer-term cumulative effects across the land, the rivers, and then the receiving environment. Modelling within the catchment summaries helps us understand the loads of specific contaminants flowing through a catchment and the estimated percentage reductions needed to achieve our freshwater aspirations. Let's discuss modelling versus measured data. The final concept covered in this video is the difference between modelled assessments and measured data. These are two key terms that are used throughout the catchment science summaries in relation to our key receiving environments. There is sometimes confusion in understanding the difference between modelling and measured data and what that means for the data. Measured data is collected from our monitoring programs when samples are analysed in labs or assessments are made in the field and results are then calculated. These data are collected and analysed based on well-established scientific practices, often recommended at a national level, which ensures the reliability of the results. As shown in the catchment science summaries, measured data is used to assess the current state of various environmental attributes. It can also be used to develop models for areas where direct monitoring is not available. The process of measuring data involves estimates and assumptions similar to modelling. For example, the concentration of a contaminant in a water sample is measured by a lab instrument that utilises a mathematical model to estimate the concentration. A limitation of measured data is the ability to sample or make assessments at enough sites to understand the entire region. Sampling is resource intensive, and due to the extensive variability in the environment, it is not possible to sample adequately everywhere. This is why modelling is used to extrapolate and supplement measured data. Modelled assessments rely on both current and historical measured data. These assessments use mathematical equations to predict conditions in areas or times without direct measurements. In general, mathematical equations utilize measured data to extrapolate our understanding of what is likely happening in the environment. They can make estimates of what's happening in areas or places where we don't have monitoring sites, or what's happening at times of the year when we don't have measured data. In the catchment summaries, we rely on modelled data to inform the contaminant reductions that are required to meet target states, and how successful any mitigations would likely be to achieve this. Additionally, we have displayed and considered estimates of uncertainty where possible. This then gives us a sense of what we likely need to do to safeguard important receiving environments and what actions could be taken in each catchment depending on how successful they could be. While there is uncertainty associated with modelling, the use of peer-reviewed models and high-quality measured data enhances confidence in the results. To conclude, we have covered three key concepts that are used in the catchment science summaries: state, concentration and loads, and measured and modelled information. Further detail can be found in the supporting science literature on our website. This video is the second in a series aimed at helping you interpret and engage with the catchment science summaries. Stay tuned for the next video where we dive deeper into explaining the estimated load reductions required to achieve hauora for freshwater